My name is Bobby, and I'm here to share the project I have created for the Country Craft Creations New Year's Eve Hop or Crop. If you are new to my channel, I welcome you, and I'm glad you're here. If you're a returning customer or subscriber, then I'm glad to have you as well. If you haven't already subscribed, I hope you'll consider doing that. It costs nothing to subscribe, and if you'll click on that bell icon, then YouTube will notify you anytime I upload new content. So what I have this time is a mini album that measures 7 in height and 5 in width with a 1 1/4 inch spine. There's the back. I have used the Bee House collection, which is exclusive to Country Craft Creations, and I have double matted the front in the My Colors collection, also from Country Craft Creations. This one is, the yellow is called Sun Glow, and the green is Sparkling Apple. I had to think about that a minute. So when you open the album, you have one magnet here in the flap. Opens like that. And on the left side, you have a journal, and it is tied in with twine and these little paper beads I made, and I show you in the tutorial how to make those. It's really easy. And this is held with a magnet as well, so you can take it out, which makes it easier to write in your journal. So on this page, I actually put tracing paper in the copy machine, and I copied the Sparkling Apple to give the tracing paper some color. I used an old punch that I had in my stash to punch out a border, and then I cut out another one of the little honey pots and a bee for the front. And then I just have a piece of the design paper, some papers from my stash. This one I did some light stenciling on. On the back side, I have a flower that I cut with a die that I have in my stash. Put a little book page behind it, a piece of lace, and a word says beautiful thing. Then on this side, these little bees came from a stamp set that was in one of your Craftology boxes a month or so ago. And another little piece of greenery. On this side, I inked a piece of rickrack, and then it bled through to this side, and I thought it was kind of cool. It almost looks like a stenciling or an antique piece of paper. Then we have a ledger sheet. On the back side of that, I have an eyelet trim with a piece of greenery, and it says beauty in everything. I have a ledger sheet, and then on this page I did some light stamping with one of Tim Holtz's mini paper dolls and a mushroom. A little book page behind him, and then some more writing space, and on the center I included the design paper that had the fairyland on it. I thought it was so pretty. And then this is a waxed thread that came with a bookbinding kit, and I just punched out some little dots and put on the end of it. And more writing space, another journal page. In here I have another paper doll with some lace and greenery. This is some lined digital paper, a little more stamping. There's plenty of writing space in here, and you can add photos as well if you wish. Then on the back I have a pocket. My magnet is under here, and I wanted to put this in the pocket, but because of the magnet it won't go in there. I created one too many photo inserts, so I'm just going to stick it there, or you can put it inside any page. It could actually be mounted to one of these plain pages. So that is that, and the back is just another punch border. So your magnet will hold it in place, and you tie it back in. Then on this side, and I would suggest you watch the whole tutorial before you put yours together, because my original plan was to put this over here, but then I realized it was going to flop forward all the time, so I moved it to this side so I wouldn't have to use a magnet over here. But then I ended up using a magnet anyway to hold the journal in place, so there you go. But this little pouch opens, And this whole project was inspired by a lady who is no longer crafting. She made a couple of really pretty projects, and I've done one of hers before in the past, and she was very agreeable to my being inspired by her projects and making any changes that I wanted to. So I've had this one in my stash for a long time and wanted to make it, and I just never got around to it. So hers was a closed pouch with gusseted sides, but it's hard to get in there. The only thing you can put in a closed pouch is something real long where you can get a hold of it at the top. So I made mine an open or a deconstructed envelope. And on the inside I used the Sun Glow paper again, and this stamp is from the same one that the little bees came out of, and I just fussy cut out some of the embellishments from the design paper. This flaps down, and then in the pocket you have these embellishments, photo mats. This one says Bloom and Grow, this one says Good Times, and this one says Sweet Moments. And these embellishments are from Country Craft Creations as well. They were part of a Simple Stories embellishment pack. And then I cut out another honey pot and put it in there. You can tell I really like that little honey pot. Now I'm turning this upside down because of all the pop dots. It makes it, if they're all stacked together, it's too thick on one end. So it closes up like that. Another one of the paper beads. Then this pulls down, and you have a large photo mat in here. And these corners I made using the metallic flakes from Country Craft Creations, and they're called vintage something. Fragments, metallic, vintage, something. I can't read it, it's real tiny. But they are gold, copper, and silver. And I show you in the tutorial how I made these photo mats. And this just pops out, it's not glued in. Then back here we have pockets. 4 pockets. And I have made tags for those. This photo mat, I guess I glued it in. I thought I left it loose, but it's glued in. And then you have space on the back for another photo. Then we have this one. It says The Sweetest Moments. The photo on the back. And this one is a photo booklet. It says A Beautiful Day. And you have room for 2 photos in here and 1 on the back. So that is my creation for the New Year's hop. I hope you enjoy it. If you make one, I hope you'll share photos with us so we can enjoy your creations as well. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you have fun at the hop. I'm sure you will. And I will see you back soon. Bye. For this project, we're starting with the black Artisan. I've already wrapped my album cover. These are 2 pieces of 5x7 lightweight chipboard. And then the spine is 1 1/4 by 7. And I've just done the lay flat wrap. That's a mouthful, isn't it? And I've attached a piece of Artisan to cover the inside of the spine. That's all I've done so far. But I wanted to show you the game plan for the inside, and before I add anything to it, I want to decorate my papers. So this is a piece that is, let me give you a final measurement. This is 10 3/4 by, I think, yeah, 4 7/8. And I've scored it several times because I kept changing my mind what I wanted to do. So it is scored at 3/4 and 1/2. So once I cover the bottom, you won't see the extra score marks. So it's scored at 9 1/2. Oh, it's 10. 9 1/2 and 10 with the long side up. And then I just used a We Are Memory Keepers stub punch to punch the corners. I just thought that would be pretty. Now this is going to have a 1/2 inch gusset at the bottom, and it's going to sit right down here, and this will close down. Then we have, let me find my other piece, here it is. This is going to be a deconstructed envelope. I know a lot of people like to make the kind that are gusseted and they're fastened permanently closed, but I find those are hard to get into. The only thing you could put in those is something real long so that you can reach it, because there's very little room at the top. So I prefer to make the gusseted, or make the deconstructed. So I've cut a piece 4 7/8 by 6, and I've scored it at a half. And I'm going to burnish that. I keep hearing this booming outside. I don't know what it is. And this will attach to the front of this piece, which makes your pocket like that. And then we'll have 2 pieces that are 5 by 1 1/4, and I put them in the scoreboard and I scored it a half. Then I turned it around and scored it at half again. That leaves you a 1/4 inch gusset in there, and we'll burnish these. Oops. And then that 1/4 inch. I always find it hard to do the 1/4 inch. It's kind of a struggle, but you can get there. So that'll leave you a 1/4 inch gusset for whatever you want to put in this envelope. And we will attach these to the inside, and this is the inside section of this is 7 inches. So I put a little pencil mark at 3 1/2, which is center. And then on this is 5, so the center point is 2 1/2. So I put a little pencil mark there just to give myself a guide. And these will attach. Let me burnish this again. These will attach with the 2 1/2 roughly. See, that'll leave you 1 inch at the top and 1 inch at the bottom when you add that there. So we can go ahead and add these down. And you don't have to miter the top edges because they're not going all the way to the top or the bottom, so you don't have to worry about mitering them so you don't have overhang. I'm bad about leaving my glue bottle open, and it always clogs on me. There it comes. So put that in your scoreboard, line it up at 1 inch, and go all the way to the edge. Oops. Now double check I'm not all the way to the edge. Get it straight, Bobby. All the way to the edge. Come on, ding dong. There you go. Now it's lined up to the edge. And we'll burnish this down. And let's turn it around the other way. And we're back at 7 again. So we'll do the same thing with this one. Get this burnished in place here. We'll add glue to this. Right up along the edge. We get that up in the corner, and we'll line it up at 1 inch with this edge. Do it right. And this edge will line up at 6. push that down. Yep, I'm right up against the edges. Okay, now on the back side of this, where this is going to open up, I want to put a piece of lightweight chipboard in here just to stabilize it and make it stronger. And I just covered it with a piece of the sparkling apple, my colors. And I went around the edges with a black felt tip marker, Sharpie. And I'm just going to stick that in there, and it'll give it extra strength so that it doesn't mash over. Oops, I want it right in the center of those score lines. There we go. Now this will be the part that attaches to this. So it'll go in here like this. This will flap down, and this will be your front piece. And that will cover like that. So that will be your deconstructed pocket. Now, when this flaps down, we're going to have more pockets under here. So once I put this down, then I will paper the inside of this, and we'll add our other pockets, and I'll show you that shortly. But I want to put my papers on here. So it's just easier, I think, for me anyway, it's easier to put your design papers on it while you can lay it flat before you put it in the album and you have all of this wobbling back and forth. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'll be back. Okay, we are back, and I've decided to make a change because this is what we put together originally, and it opens like so, and you can put whatever you like in there. It's plenty roomy. There's a 1/4-inch gusset here, so you can get a lot in it. I was going to attach it on this side, but then I got to thinking you're going to need a magnet, because when you fold it closed, it's all going to flop down. So I thought it would be best over here. That way I could avoid using a magnet. And so what I'm going to do is take my crocodile, and I'm going to punch a hole in that. I tried to punch a hole in it with a small handheld thing, and you can see it wouldn't go through. But this one will. I need the smaller of the two, and I want to put a little dot in there so I can make sure I'm going to the right spot. So right where I made that indentation, I'll put a little black dot, and on this crocodile you can see through this hole and know that you're going in the right spot. So I'm just going to, let me move this back. I don't think it's back as far as it'll go, but it didn't want to move. See if I can get it all the way in there. No, it ain't wanting to move. Maybe it won't go back any farther. I don't know. Ouch, there it went. Kind of pinched myself, but I'm still not going to get in there as far as I want. Darn it. Well, I guess I will take my awl and make a hole. Oh, I've got one right here I can use. I forgot about this one. This little doogie floppy. I'll just use the awl to make a hole. Get through there. Don't want to wrinkle my paper. Let me get a piece of sponge or something to put up under it. That way I can poke harder. The way it is now, I'm afraid to poke too hard for fear I'll tear my paper. There, it went through. There we go. That's all I needed. Okay, so put this in here. And I need a black eyelet. enough legs on it. It's kind of short, but I'm going to give it a try. I want to put this on here. I'm going to tie string, and I'll show you. This is going to go through to the back. So, oh, let me get my pencil mark off of there. I measured center. And I'm going to put this on here. And I will most likely cut out some flowers and something to decorate this with. Actually, I want to put a couple small. Let me get my little small hole punch out here. I want to put something up under that to get so it's not attached so tight. I don't know if this will punch through this heavier. It did. So it'll give me some leeway for, oh gosh, that's hard to punch. There we go. I'm just not that strong, I guess. I want to add these underneath so I've got room for my string, otherwise it'll crimp up so tight that I won't have room for my string. So I'm going to glue two of these together. And I'll put it up underneath. And I'm not going to use a heavy string, and I'll just use one that's plain white. I'm going to put this up under here. That way it'll give me, maybe I ought to have I think I'll punch one more, have a third one, just to make sure I've got enough depth in there. If I can get it to punch again. I must be weak. I never was very strong in my hands, even on my best day. Okay. We'll add one more in there. Okay. Put this on top of the other two. Now we can attach that. And there's plenty of things in this collection that you can fussy cut. Yeah, those legs aren't real long. But hopefully they're long enough. And get this in here. Separate those little legs. Yeah, they're long enough. Okay. And what I'm going to do, ouch, to cover that up, if you did the Craftology box a couple months back, there was a stamp set in there, and it had bees, and let me grab it here. It was by Graphic 45, and it said, "Don't worry, be happy." It was called Let It Be stamp set. It had all these stamps in it, and I just printed out, stamped, didn't print. I stamped Life is Beautiful, and I'm going to put that in there to cover it up, cover up the legs. And I'm going to put this up under the edge, like that. So let me decide where I want this. I want this to cover that and be about center, about like that. And I want this little fella up under the edge, about like that. And I didn't ink it. I didn't want it to get too dark. I did ink the little circle on the front. And I really don't think it was necessary. I could have done without it. Let's get this kind of centered from side to side. That will cover up the legs of it. And then I'm going to put these little bees. I cut this out of one of my scrap pieces. It's near the bottom of one of the sheets that has a honey pot on it. And I'm just going to curve this around the edge here with the bees and a flower. And that'll cover that up. So let me get my twine out because I have to bury it. And this is not real heavy, but I'm going to cut. I always cut way too much, but that's okay. Better too much than not enough. So I'm going to cut off a section of that. And I want to secure it with... oh, before I put this on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I put that on, I want to add the closure. And this is, it's on your cutting list. It's 4.5 by 7 should be. Yes, 4.5 by 7. And I scored it at 1. And then every 1/8 inch all the way down. Let me measure this way. Scored at 1 and all the way down to 2 1/8. And then fold each one of these so that you get a curve. And it's very tedious, I know, but it was well worth it. And this is going to attach on the outside edge, right edge, just below that last score line. So, and I'm not going to miter this. I don't think I need to. I'm going to put plenty of glue on it. Okay, and I'm going to, let me get rid of this little bee before I knock him on the floor. So this is going to go almost up to that score line. Just a little bit away from it. Oops, too much. I pulled too, oops, pulled too hard. Well, that should work. And it's not perfect. Wait a minute, let me move it down just a hair. Got it a little too close on that side. Okay, make sure I'm in the right spot. Yes, I am. Okay, so now I can burnish that in place. Now that'll be hidden with design paper, so no big deal that it's on the outside. And we'll use a magnet here, but I didn't want to have a magnet here and here, because then when this closes, it could be one fighting the other, if you know what I mean. So that will be your closure on here. Okay, so now we can attach the string in the middle of this, which is 5. So at 2.5, I'm going to put this string in there. Just for security. Okay, let's burnish this down real good. There's my little pick thingy. guess I put it over here. Let me grab it. There it is. Take these off. Now this is going to attach just this portion down here at the bottom. And I am going to trim just a tad off of there. Make sure I stay away from my folds. Okay. So we're going to put our glue on here. There we go. I'm going to turn it around upside down so I can make sure I get it lined up right. And excuse me if I stick my big head in it. I'm going to put it right in the middle and all the way down to the bottom. Let's burnish that down. Now, this, what did I do with that tape? I threw it away, didn't I? Here's a little piece of it. I don't want it to stick until I get my paper down, my design paper. So this will come up over the bottom and tie that shut. That will be that, and there's going to be pockets back here, remember. So you'll need extra string because this is going to sit up a little bit. And then on this side, I'll give you a sneak peek of what I'm going to do on that side. I've got started on it a little bit. I am going to put a little junk journal, a mini journal over here. This is going to sit over here. And I might have to trim my papers down a little bit. I can see right now that I am. A little bit of them. But I think that's going to be so cute. And this is what I've got so far. This is just tracing paper, and I took the which one did I take? I think I did this one. Yes, I put this one in my printer and set it to copy, and I taped the tracing paper to a piece of cardstock, just taped it at the top so it would pull it through because it's too fine to grab by itself. So I just taped it along the top, ran it through the printer, and it made it green. And then I cut a piece of the design paper and just used an old border punch that I had, and I cut a 2-inch strip and I punched both edges and just glued it on there. And then this is one of the honey pots and the bees from the collection. And then here's a piece of the design paper, and this is going to make a little cover, believe it or not. And then I have this piece, and these are just some things I had in my stash that I printed. And I'm going to stamp on the back of some of these. There's just regular typing paper to journal on. Another piece of the design paper. Just things that I printed from my stash. And that's going to make the little notebook. But like I said, I'm going to have to trim it down a little bit more. Because it's just kind of ballpark the size so far. But that's going to go over here. And I'll show you how we're going to fasten it, because I want to be able to remove it so that it's easier to write in. So that's the game plan. What do you think of that? Oh, and I forgot this. I cut this out. I just cut a little piece of the green glimmer paper, and I inked it up a little bit. And I'm going to glue it down here. Get my glue again so it looks like grass. I just cut a bunch of little notches in it. And I'm going to glue it down here at the bottom. And it'll kind of make a little, little catch-all for anything that you want to tuck behind it. I'm just going to put it down here, like that. And then the honey pot, and I do want to go around the edges just a tiny bit. I don't want it to be too grungy, but I want it to stand out a little bit. And I'm going to glue, this is the far side, I'm going to glue just a little tack right there, a little tack right here, and across the bottom. And I'm going to put it right around here. And I think I'll just wipe this glue off up here. I don't want that tacked after all. So you can tuck something behind it. So there we go. So far, so good. That's that. Okay, and then I have paper cut out for this hinge here. I have these 3 pieces, the yellow, green, and then the design paper. And I'll put those on later. I don't want to get them all soiled while I'm messing with it. So I'll be right back. We're going to put our pockets in behind this folder. Oops. That'll be the next, oh, goodness gracious, I'm knocking everything over. That'll be the next thing we do, is add these pockets and some paper back here, and then we'll decorate this. Alright, I'll be back shortly. Alrighty, here's what we're going to do. We got a plan going now. We're going to build the pockets for behind this flap down. We're going to build the pockets and put the base. The base here, I will show you what I have done. I wanted to bring that brownish rust color called ginger into it because there's so much of that in the honey pot and in the flowers. So I cut 2 1/4 inch strips of the ginger, and I laid my piece. Let me see, do you see that? Barely. Let me move over to the right a little bit. And I lined it up right with the left edge of the 1/2 inch mark. And then I added glue to the little strip and lined it up straight down with that 1/2 inch mark. And then our pockets will set in between these 2 stripes. And then I just turn it over and cut off the excess. And that, I think I need a little bit more glue down here at the bottom. Yes, I do. Didn't take the glue down far enough. If I can get a hold of it. Just a little tad in there. Okay, and that is going to sit behind here. I just have such a small working area, it's crazy. I have to keep shuffling things around. But, you know, at least I got somewhere to work, right? It's not really work, it's, I'm going to lay my scissors on there to hold that open. And then this is going to sit right between our score lines in here. So let's glue that down, and then we'll set this aside and build our pockets. There's 2 sets which actually give you 4 pockets, and on the cut list you'll find that there's an insert, a measurement for an insert. I'm not going to put those in mine. Half of them tucks in and the other half hangs out of the pocket, and I'll show you in a minute what I mean. But it covers up the design paper, and I just want the design paper to show. So that's going to go right in here, just like that. Let's burnish that down. I just felt like I really needed to bring this ginger in there, and I didn't want a full sheet of ginger against the black, because then it doesn't really show up very good, and I need some more glue down here too. I didn't mean to be so stingy with the glue. There we go. Gotta get dog hair. That's Roxy for you. She sheds like crazy. She's a good old girl, but she sure does shed. She thinks she's a person. Go figure. Okay, there's that. Get rid of this trash. I'm going to set this aside. And we do have to put a magnet in here, and I don't want to forget that because I've been known to forget my magnets. Okay, so we have two pieces. And I've done one already. I need to clean this. They are 4 7/8 by 8 1/2. And I've already done this one, but we'll score this one together. We're going to score both long sides at 1/2. And we're going to turn it around and score it at 1/2 again. And then turn it with the long side across the top, and we're going to score it at 4. Okay. Just a little trim work to do here. We're going to miter all 4 of the corners here, angle cut them just to take out the bulk. And then where your score line crosses here, you're just going to take out a little V shape right up to that 1/2 inch score line. So just make a little slanted cut on each side of that score line and take that little piece out. Snip that one and this one. And I don't go all the way to the score line for fear of leaving a hole, which I've done that before. And it doesn't look pretty, so you don't want to do that. And there's that little piece. Get rid of the trash. Okay. Now, it is going to fold up like this so that the back side sticks up above. Now, see, I can trim this just a little bit more right here. Okay, and these, for the shorter portion, you're going to fold those in and burnish them. This is going to make one pocket. And then the other 2 we're going to fold towards the back, and that will make your second pocket. I like to turn them face down to burnish them. I just feel like I get a straighter burnish. It's probably all in my mind, but that's what I think. So, that makes your second pocket. Or 2 pockets. Make sure your edges line up really well. There's that one. Now let's burnish these. And I am going to put a notch in these with the small envelope punch board. But I'll tell you in advance, I have no strength in my hands. And I have to set it down on the floor and push on it with my foot. I cannot get it to go through, no matter what I do. I just have a case of the punies, I guess. There's that one. And that one. I never have had much strength in my hands. Okay, so there's that one. bring it up and burnish it. I see a little nub that needs to be trimmed off right here. And a little bitty one right there. If yours don't line up for some reason, just push it up against your scoreboard, against a square edge, and make it go where you want it to. It's only paper. So there's our 4 pockets, and they'll stack like that. And they're going to sit right in here between those lines, up from the bottom a little bit. Now the first one, I have a 1/2 inch spacer here, which I think I might use. And if I put it at a 1/2 inch, oh, lay down there. If I put that at a 1/2 inch along the top of the cotton grass, and I put these in here, it should give me roughly a 1/2 inch at the bottom. Almost. So let's try. I want them to be as close as I can. Let's lay the 3/8 inch in there. That'll be better. Okay, so that's how those are going to go. We're going to have 4 pockets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the punch board, and this piece is going to go in here, this sparkling apple, just like that. And then this floral is going to go on the top of it, like that. And then on the second one, we'll have the sparkling apple again, and the honey pot. So it'll be like, oops, like this stacked together. I think that'll be pretty. So this needs to go in your little small punch board. You can use the big one if you don't have the little one. I'm going to get this centered where I want it. And I'll show you, just so you see I'm not messing with you. I really can't get it to go through. And it needs to go in your punch board just a hair shy of this 2-inch mark. Just a hair shy. And I will show you just like that. I like to punch them together, and that's probably why I can't get it through. But I just can't do it. So I will hold it together and put it down on the floor, and you're going to hear a pop. And that's it. I just cannot do it. Okay. I want to ink this just a little bit. I thought I already did, but I can't see it. Okay. And we're going to glue that down. Alright, glue bottle. These are the most finicky glue bottles I've ever seen. But I like the glue, so I put up with it. Okay. This is going to go in here. Just like that. And then the top piece, the ink it. Okay, now this is going to go here. Okay, let's try it again. There's a dog ears, I tell you. And just shy of the 2-inch. It ain't working, kids. Hold on. Gonna hear another pop. And we're through. Isn't that crazy? The old girl just can't do it. Okay, so that's going to go on there. And I'm going to get some glue on it. And we're going to attach this right here. And don't say my other burnishing doogie. Now we can add glue to these two little parts here and glue that down. And some over here. Close that up. Here's our first pocket built. And oh, there it is. So that's going to sit right in there, like that. And then you'll have room. I'm going to use tags, but you can use whatever you like. You might want to use what they are is a folded piece, and half of it goes down in and the other half flaps over, and it makes you a four-sided portion that you can put photos or journaling on, but which is fine. And they look really nice, but they cover up the paper. And Tamara's paper is so pretty, I just hate to cover it up. So that is this. So let's glue this one down, and I'm just going to glue the tabs so that we can put another insert behind it, so that way you'll get 3 out of each. Oh no, you'll still get 2. Duh. Not too smart, Bobby. Okay. I'll line this up here and get my scissors to hold this little flippy doodle down. Okay. I'm going to put this right about yonder. Go right between the two. That looks straight, doesn't it? Yay! Don't you remember the A-Team? Don't you love it when a plan comes together? That's what he used to always say. Okay, there's the first one. Now I'll do this one off camera just so you don't have to listen to the pops, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am putting together the little journal that I made, and I'm going to show you. I get all the papers laid out like I want them and make sure my center is together. Clamp it all like I want it. Then I poke my 3 holes with an awl, and it is, oh, it's still in here, it's right here. I poked the center one first, and then I wanted to make sure this is the smallest or narrowest piece in the book, so I wanted to make sure I caught that. So I poked a hole about 3/4 of an inch, half an inch from the top and the bottom. Then I stuck my needle in there to hold this in place, because your papers can shift a little bit. So if you want your ends to end up inside, you start inside. If you start from the outside, your loose ends are going to be outside, so it depends on how you want yours to be. I'm going to run this through the center and leave myself a tail on the inside. Yeah, about so long, that's plenty long enough. Then I'm going to bring it back through the top. And the reason I left it all in there is so that these papers won't shift on me and my holes will stay lined up. So I'm going to push this back through the top hole. I think I've shown this on another tutorial somewhere, but I'm not sure which one it was, so I thought, well, I'll just do it again. So once I get this pulled through, now it's not going to shift on me, so I can take the clamps off and I can pull the awl out. I'll pull this back a little bit. And my needle goes in through the bottom one. And I'm going to have lots of thread left. I know I am. I always cut too much, but better too much than too little. Then back through the center again. Oops, it's not coming up on this side of the page. There it is. It was between these 2 pages the first time, and I want it here. Bring that through. Now I want this to be on the opposite. See how this one's under it? I want this one to be on the other side so I can tie them and secure it. So pull that, but don't tear your papers. And just tie it. And I'm going to make some paper beads to hang on these strings on the inside. Just something small. I don't want it to be anything real bulky, but I want something colorful. And here we go with that. Second knot. And this is the waxed linen thread that comes in a kit with the awl. I'll show you. This is what I have. Most people that do journals a lot, they recommended this kit. And it comes with 6 different spools of the waxed linen thread, 2 bone folders, a package of needles, and the awl. So it was a pretty decent purchase. Wasn't terribly expensive, I don't think. Probably not more than $20, but I don't remember for sure. If you just Google awl kit, how do you spell it? It says, doesn't say, it says it's made in China, but it doesn't have the company brand name or anything on it. But I've used it a lot, and I've got tons of that waxed thread in there, so it'll probably last me a lifetime. So that's that. So here's what I've done. I've got all my pages together. And, oops, back here I added a magnet. I just bent that while I was making sewing the book together. And the opposite side of the magnet is on the inside of the cover. Let me get this label off because it's kind of shiny and it might keep the glue from sticking very well. Okay, so I am going to set this over here for the time being, and I'm going to add the cotton grass over the magnet. That's the name of this color, cotton grass. It's almost like, really similar to the Artisan Craft, except it's got a little polka dot to it, a little texture. It's the only difference, really. There's that. I'm going to put this on here. I got to pull it towards me so I can get it even from top to bottom. Make sure I don't have it too close to the fold. And I want to wrap some twine around the book to hold it closed when it's in the book. And yes, I always get too much. So I'm going to cover the magnet here. What did I do with that little pocket? I got a pocket somewhere. But I want to put Scotch tape over the magnet so whatever I put in the pocket doesn't get stuck. And there's that pocket. It's here somewhere. I've moved everything around while I was working. What'd I do with it? Anyway. Let me put my yarn down. We'll go ahead and tie it in place. I will find, that's too much. About like that. And then this is going to sit right there with the magnet holding it in place. That way it's not going to fall out. So my initial plan was not to have a magnet on this side, but that went amiss, didn't it? But oh well, it's not the end of the world, and I'll put some fray check on this. I'm going to cut it so it doesn't hang out of the book. No, that wasn't short enough. There we go, a little bit off of this one. There we go. Alrighty. So when you close it, it's going to close like this. And this will sit over the top. Isn't that pretty? Ooh, I love it. I'm excited. Seeing your book won't fall out. So there's that. Now what I have left to do is embellish the outside. This portion here, and then when this flaps down, I've got 4 inserts to make, and we're going to cover the back of this. So not a whole lot left, but I think it's turning out really, really pretty. I got to find that pocket so oh, here it is. Duh, I knew I had it. Let me take this off of here. We'll untie the ribbon. It was turned upside down. I couldn't see it. So all I'm going to do is add glue here. In this little pocket. I'll give you the measurements after I glue it down. And I'll put some glue along the bottom so nothing falls out of it. And it is going to go right here. So let me show you the book after I put a few embellishments in it. I hope I pushed record. I did. I have to check myself. Quite the forgetful person sometimes. Oh. There we go. So this is the tracing paper piece I told you about that I ran through the copy machine with the sparkling cider, and it came out green. I really like that. I'd never done that before. I just happened to think, wonder if that'll work, and it did. And this is a piece of the bee paper. That's the back side of it. This is something I had in my stash. This is just white computer paper that I put a little stenciling on with a leaf thing I had in my stash. This is a flower that it's from one of the Tim Holtz die cuts, one of his floral sets, and I had shown a video how I color these once before, and I'll put a link in the description box to that in case you haven't seen it. They're real easy to do. And then this is another one of those die cuts, and I just stamped some little bees here from that stamp set that came in, it was from Graphic 45. It came in one of the Craftology boxes a few months ago. Then on the back side of that, well, come on, I just put a piece of rickrack, and this is just white that I got from Country Craft Creations, and I just color it with my ink pads. And this one I used, I think it was spice marmalade. Yes, spice marmalade. That's what I used for that. And this is a digital that I had in my stash. And this is some ribbon I had. And I just cut out the word beauty and everything and added a little piece of greenery. This is a ledger sheet from my stash. And a little piece of book page with a mushroom and a mini paper doll, and I just did a little bit of stamping, just second generation stamping, so it wasn't too bright. I left the back side plain for journaling, and then this is the center of the book. I love that. Bright colors. There's the other half of that. And then on the back, you just see the back side of each of those pages. Here's some more of that greenery with a piece of lace and one of the mini paper dolls. And I didn't add anything bulky in here because by the time we add photos, that's going to take up all the room that we've got left. This is a piece of digital that I had with lines on it, and I thought that would be good for journaling. And I love this color of that. A little bit more stenciling. It's the back side of that first page, or second page. And then this one with the pocket, and the back side of that. So that's it. So I will get some more papers cut and come back and we'll finish this up. Okay, the next thing I want to do is add my magnet here because I have been known to forget my magnet and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take out a negative and a positive and put these two together. Now you always want to make sure you keep it away from this edge so that when you add your paper, it's not stuck up in the air. It'll actually seal down, so you want to keep it away from that edge. So I'm going to attach it about like so. Make sure I get it kind of center ways. This is 1, 2, 3, 7, so about 3.5, about there. And then we'll take off this paper. Maybe I will. These little things can be difficult, these little papers. Make sure your edge is straight. Now this is your rolled edge, so you don't want to make it too tight. But I want it to come up straight. And whoops. sure my edges are lined up like that and press it down. That's not exactly, before it gets stuck real good. My edges weren't completely lined up. Bring it towards me this way so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Now my edges are lined up. It wants to twist for some reason, I don't know why. What it's wanting to do. I don't know why it's doing that. Try it again. Maybe I need to bring it down a little bit farther towards the bottom. And bring it up this way a little bit more. Maybe that'll stop it wanting to twist. There we go. I just didn't bring it forward enough. Now it's laying flat. There we go. So now we've got our magnet in place. Now, for, for this portion here, I want to put just a journaling spot, or it could be a photo mat in this area, but I want some corner tabs in there, photo tabs kind of, and I wanted them to be, I made one with the gold metallic flakes. Actually, I made two gold. And then I have this one that's got the vintage, the gold and the rose gold, kind of a coppery color in there. And I thought that was really pretty. I like it better than the gold. So I thought I would make one more of those and show you how I made it. Then I can glue those down, and that way you can remove this. So that's what I'm going to do with that. So there's one. I'm going to close this back up and set it aside. And here's one. All I did was take a die that I had in my stash, and let me see this one here. This little corner die. And I put the score tape sheet on a piece of black Artisan, and then I cut it out. Now I'm going to take I need a piece of paper here, and I'm going to take the score tape off. Try to hang on to it a little bit. Get me some tweezers out. And I'm just going to add some pieces. I don't want great big pieces. Just add some pieces to it. Some gold. Cover some of it up before I get my fingers in the sticky. There's some really big pieces in here. Just trying to keep my fingers out of the sticky stuff. I don't want this great big piece. Trying to get some smaller pieces so I can kind of spread it around. some smaller pieces, and they're pretty big. It kind of clings to you. Just going to take a small piece of sponge. What did I do with that sponge? I cut a piece of sponge off a while ago. Well, I don't know what I did with it. I'll give me another piece. And I just want to kind of tap it into place, make sure it's sticking. You see it starts to break away. And then I'll just take this little piece and kind of rub over it. And it'll clean it up and take the excess off the edges. And as you go around, it'll start to shine up a little bit more. It's real easy to do. It's messy, but it's easy to do. And just kind of angle your little sponge so you clean up all those little holes if you have one that's cut out like this one is. And there it is. I didn't take that out though. Scrub over that. And there it is. It's just that simple. Let me wipe off the bottom. Just keep going till you get it all cleaned up like you want it. Isn't that pretty? So that will be the second one. Like I said, it's not hard to do. They're just a little bit on the messy side. And then I had some extras that I had cut out earlier for another project that I didn't use. So what I'm going to do, in order not to waste them, I am going to cut out just the edges, just a very tiny edge, and I'm going to glue that underneath just for a spacer so that you can slide a photo up under it. Because any foam adhesive that you've got is going to be too wide and it'll show. So I thought since I already had these cut, I'll just use them. So do that. One more. I don't think I'll need more than 2 pieces on the underside of each one of them. I think the other one already has one under it. I'm going to just snip off this point on the end of each one just to make sure I don't have any overhang. And I'll get rid of the mess. Lose them. I notoriously lose things. Put these away. these ties, I want to make some paper beads, and I've made a couple, but I thought I'd show you how I made them. There's videos all over the internet. Here's one that I made out of the design paper. It's got the pretty colors on it, and I'm going to put it on this journal. If I can get this to go through, I hope. I have to tie, I've got one knot in it, but it'll still slide through, so I gotta put a second knot in it. And I just thought I'd show you how I made them, in case you might want to make some for yours. The more vibrant and busy your paper is, the prettier the beads are, because the colors show up. You can do them out of a book page or anything that you've got. Get all these strings through there. Oops. There we go. Hopefully that'll catch it. Yeah, it's not going to fall off now. Cut it off. And I'm going to make one more for this side. This one, and I've got one made for this one. And we'll make another one together. Put this one on here. They're super easy to make. Well, come on. It's not wanting to go through. Ah! It's wanting to split up on me. There it goes. There we go. You just need to tie 2 knots in it so that it won't pull through. Second one. Here we go. That'll keep that closed. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a knitting needle. Get this out of the way. And I want this color on the outside showing. So all I'm going to do, and you need your glue for this, is turn the wrong side towards the needle and just roll it back and forth till you get that edge to curl. And once it starts rolling, then you're going to put a little glue on it. Maybe if your glue bottle wants to cooperate with you. There it comes. And just keep it tight. You can roll it in your hand or roll it on your countertop. I like to roll it in my hand so I can apply pressure to it and keep it tight. And ever so often I stop and add a little bit more glue just so it doesn't slide. Just keep rolling it. press it in with your fingers. Just hold it for a second, and it'll stay there. And then you'll want to take some clear fingernail polish, and that's what I do anyway. And I just put my finger on it to hold it still. Otherwise, it's going to roll round and round. And just put some fingernail polish on it that seals it and gives it some shine. Now, I'm going to end up with fingernail polish on me, but I don't care. It ain't the end of the world. I'll go all the way around. And then just lay it somewhere where it kind of hangs off the edge of it. I lay it on the top of my container that holds my wet wipes and just let it hang off the edge till it dries. It just takes a few minutes and it'll be dry, and then I can tie it on there. The other thing I wanted to share with you is one of the tags that I'm going to make for the pocket. But what I want to do is put a piece of fun foam in there. So I need to make sure it's not going to be too thick for the pocket. I wanted to elevate it with some fun foam. So here's the thing. This is my I just want to check the thickness before I glue it all together. This will be one tag assembly. And it will go in there. It'll be tight, but it'll go in. See if it does better in the back. You know, rather than the fun foam, I think I'd be better off with just punching some white spacers out of some white scrap. So I'm gonna skip the fun foam and let me punch out some spacers, and I'll be right back. Okay, to make this style of tag, you're going to need 2 pieces of design paper that are 6.5 by 5. And I've folded in half at 3 1/4 and just cut my angled edges. I just used a piece of scrap chipboard, or no, cardstock that I had in my stash. Where is it? And I just cut an angle that I liked, and I held it up, and then I moved it over and cut the opposite side so that they'd all be the same. So you'll need 2 pieces like that. Now you can use paper if you don't have any fabric. I've got some muslin in my stash, so I'm going to use the muslin. And I'm going to lay this down. And I want to attach these. My glue just doesn't want to come out today for some reason. Don't know what the problem is. I'm going to line it up with the bottom. And give it a little extra leeway because I've got plenty at the top. Glue that down. And then I'm going to take the other side. Do the same thing. Boy, this is ornery. I have to run that needle through there again. And I just want a small space. Just about like that. And I bet that's not even glued down. I don't think enough glue came out. I don't know why it's being so finicky today. Our weather has been so weird. Cold one day and hot the next. So one day you've got the furnace on, the next day you've got the air conditioner on. It's just crazy. It's a wonder everybody doesn't have pneumonia. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up and put some more glue up under here. There it comes. It just needed to be reamed out again, but see, there it goes. There must be a clog in there. I might have to take this little fine tip off and run it under some hot water. Gosh darn it. That's just really aggravating. same thing on the opposite side. Well, I can see I'm going to have to take this in the kitchen before I go any farther, because this is just being a real pain. There must be a clog in there that keeps getting caught. It looks like I'm going to make it through this anyway. Let's see if I can find now this edge that wants to roll up on me. Most of it anyway. There we go. Okay. Let me pause this camera. I'm going to go work on this cap so I don't have to fool with it every 2 seconds. Alright, on this I have inked the edges with Vintage Photo, and then I just lightly went around the edge with the black soot. I want to trim off the overhang of this fabric here, our little fabric hinge. Oops. And I already trimmed it off up here. So we're going to open it up and glue these two sides shut. This side up, and then we'll glue the other side down. Got a little more fabric here to trim off, I think. Okay, now you'll have a small gap between the two. That just allows it to fold nicely. See, I've got a little fabric sticking out up here. That's better. I've already poked my holes so I can set my eyelets. It's kind of a bright yellow, but it'll be okay. Guess I better set it from the outside so that they look the same on the inside. So this will just make a tag booklet. You can put photo mats, embellish however you want in there. And then I need to ink this. And this has got to stay fairly flat because it's going in the pocket. I think I like that side out. Yeah, I like the brighter side out. And I'm just going to put some little 3/4 inch circles. I'm going to glue them together and use that as a spacer. Like I showed you in the beginning, I really wanted to use a piece of fun foam, but it's going to make it a little bit thick for this to go in the pocket. So I'm going to put one here. And this is just lightweight cardstock I'm using for the spacers. probably should put a punch in there, but I'm not going to. I don't think it's necessary to have another eyelet. Put some more glue down there. Glue two more together. And then do two more for the bottom. Here, kind of keep it from collapsing on itself. And put that right there. And that'll give it a little bit of an elevation, not a lot, but a little bit. And I want to put this up under the edge. So I'm going to ink that. Just little bits and pieces I had in my stash. So I'm going to put that right there. Some glue on the back of this, and this is going to go underneath, just sticking out a little bit. You don't want a lot of overhang, just like that. Put some glue down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to add this to the front. Oops. And we're going to ink the butterfly lightly. I don't want a lot of ink on him, just tip the edges. And put a couple of little circles under him. Maybe 3 on him. So he stands out a little bit above the top tag. And we'll glue this down to the butterfly. A little glue on there. Although, I don't think I want the yellow one on there. We'll get something else for that. I'll find me another butterfly. It's not enough color. And we're going to put this on here. It has to be pretty flat because the pockets aren't real deep. They're pretty stiff when they're first new, and it takes a while. They do loosen up. We'll put this down. And I want to ink this. I'm going to trim a little bit off of it though. Just says a beautiful day. find another butterfly real quick. Let's see what I've got in this Simple Stories book. Should have lots of butterflies. Let's see what we've got. That one's too big. It's the right color, but it's too big. Gosh, my back is hurting. Hold on, I'll be right with you. Oh, man. My back just absolutely kills me. I need a blue butterfly or a purple one. Let's see what I can find here. I want a small one. Let's see what color is this. Aha! There we go. The right color. Just what I wanted. But these circles are going to be too big now. So I'm going to cut it in half. And cut one more in half. Okay. Okay, let's put him behind the butterfly. And we'll add him on there. And then I've got to find me some seam binding or something. There we go. All I need is some seam binding. Let's get rid of all this stuff here, because it's getting hot in here. I had to turn the air off because it makes too much noise to record with. Okay, so here's what we've got. We've got our album, our junk journal, then we've got this little folder. And then we've got these. These are the other ones that I created. This one is with the sparkling apple from my colors, and I just used a die that I had in my stash and some more of the ephemera that I had from Simple Stories. Put a photo mat on the back, and then this one is in there. Another doily from a die cut, and a photo mat on the back of that. So that takes care of that. Everything is complete. So that is it. So we'll have fun on New Year's making this together. Send me a photo if you would. I'd love to see what you create. This has been a lot of fun for me. I've wanted to make this for a long time. It's something I had drawn up that I saw it somewhere a long time ago, and I don't know where. But nonetheless, it's done. And I'm real happy with it. So thanks for watching. Have fun at the retreat, and I will see you next time. Bye.